As the CEO of the company, he had power over my life and career, and I was anxious not to insult him or make him mad. I explained that I didn't want to have a sexual relationship with him in as many different ways as possible. I said it in person, but I also wrote it in texts and emails. I reminded him in almost every interaction that we had. I told him that his demands were causing me extreme stress, including panic attacks, as well as forcing me to look for work elsewhere. He repeatedly got angry at me for rejecting his advances, such as when he requested to buy me expensive clothes. He called me a bitch in front of coworkers when I refused to hold his hand. In just one email in January 2017, I wrote to Chishti, "3 times you have behaved inappropriately and with my explicit non-consent." I reminded him that I had said to his face, "Zia, this is not consensual. I don't want this." I told him, "These experiences were frightening, degrading, and embarrassing for me. I do not trust you when you are drunk, and these experiences make me feel scared and apprehensive." Instead of changing his behavior towards me, Chishti became more hostile. In writing, he called me petulant, accused me of playing angsty games, and he told me I needed to fix my behavior. In the weeks before performance review with Chishti of my Brazil accounts, Chishti's suggestions became more and more violent. I summoned my courage and told him that his sexual demands made me fear that I was going to lose my job and were causing me to have panic attacks. In response, he sent me 2 pornographic emails describing his rape fantasy, including strangling me while having sex. I was stunned and horrified and tried to ignore them. In Brazil, I avoided him as much as I could, but was under increasing pressure from him. I began to worry that in addition to wanting sex, Chishti wanted to hurt me and punish me for rejecting him. After my presentation, I attended dinner with Chishti and colleagues. Later that night, I went to the hotel bathroom and texted him that I was sick and going back to my hotel. Chishti replied that he would meet me there. I said I was vomiting. He said he was on his way. I admitted that I was still at his hotel. I felt completely trapped and hopeless. I was 23 and very far from home. I didn't want to lose my job. I didn't want him to get any angrier. I did not feel that anyone would protect me, and I was too tired to argue with him anymore. I went to his room where he beat me while having sex with me. I told him he was hurting me. He said, "Good." He told me he should have had sex with me when we first met when I was 13 years old. When I left, he said, "We should do this more often." I hid in my hotel room until my flight the next day. My body was covered with scratches, cuts, and contusions. I had bruises around my neck that looked like I had been strangled, a large bump on my head, and a black eye. A nurse at the hospital said that I had the symptoms of a concussion. As soon as my lawyers contacted Affinity, Chishti initiated an arbitration against me. He knew that the secrecy of arbitration would protect him. 9 months later, just before my deposition, to punish and scare me, he sued my father, who had quit the day I returned from Brazil, in secret arbitration.